One of the very first videos I did was a get to know your homeschool tag, and that was 6 years ago. Then 3 years ago, I did an update. And I figured, you know what, it's been 3 years since I've done that one. It's time to do another update. Though, as I was preparing my answers for this, it made me realize that if I waited 3 more years, all of my kids will be in high school by then. Wow. I wasn't really going to tape today, but I had a really good hair day. And when you have a good hair day, you tape. I know that when people do tag videos, they tag people. However, I'm not going to tag any other YouTubers because I hate feeling obligated. And so when someone tags me in a video, I feel like I need to do it. So I don't want to do that. However, if you are a YouTuber, questions are down below. I would love to watch your video. So if you do it, tag me and I'll come watch. If you're not a YouTuber, I would still love to know your answers. So if you want to answer any or all of the questions, copy them down there, paste them down in the comments, give me your answers, and I would love to get to know you. So first question, why am I homeschooling? My answer to this has changed over the years. Initially, way back when we first started 13 years ago, we were homeschooling because Elizabeth was going into kindergarten that year, and my husband was coming home from a deployment, and we expected to be moving mid-year. And the school, when we moved, he was going to school, and it would put us that we would have moved by the end of the school year again. So as a little kindergartner, she would have been at least 2 schools, possibly 3 in 1 school year. And I couldn't do that to her. I could not do that. So we homeschooled that year. And then we didn't move until the next year. And then I was like, well, we might as well homeschool now because we're going to move mid-year and that'll just make it easier. And then we did that, and then we moved, and we moved in time that she could have started 2nd grade, but it just didn't feel right. And it just never felt right. I have a video where I go into this more. In fact, I have a video for a few of these questions, so I will link them all down below. But yeah, it just never felt like that's what her needs were. And then Ben, oh, definitely not. Matthew, he would be fine in the public school, but in part, it's just easier not to. If I have the other 2 at home, and third, I think his needs are better met at home. And so why am I homeschooling? Because that's meeting all of our needs. And yeah, it's really as simple as that. Number 2, what are 2 of your must-have homeschool supplies? First one, sense of humor. I did not have a sense of humor enough when they were little. When they were younger, a sense of wonderment would have probably been more useful than a sense of wonder or a sense of humor, but definitely now, as they get older, that sense of humor serves us so well. It keeps things light, it breaks the tension, it adds fun to our days. So definitely a sense of humor. And currently, I would say my other must-have is the iPad. We, this year, are using the iPad so much more than we have in the past. Ben does his algebra on it. It is easier for him to write on this than it is on paper. He has dysgraphia, and yeah, it just makes it easier for him to do it on there. We use it for streaming on PBS, those things. Dragonbox math apps right now, both boys are working through the algebra one. We have I just put some physics apps on here from the Smithsonian Museums for Matthew. We just are utilizing the iPad a whole lot more than what we have in the past. So those are two of my must-haves. And I just realized that I probably should have introduced myself if you are new to my channel. That way you can actually get to know me a little more. Welcome, I am Tricia, and I am a homeschooling mom to 3 kids, and this is our 13th year of homeschooling. My daughter is a senior and in the midst of college application process, and then my boys are in 8th grade and 6th grade. We are a military family, currently stationed in North Carolina, and we have just a couple more years left in the military, and then I don't know. So anyway, question number 3. What are your 3 favorite books in your homeschool library? Now this one, I had to give some real thought to because I couldn't decide whether I wanted to talk about books for mom, books that the kids are really enjoying, or what. And it occurred to me that if I had to pick 3, it would be ones that we've enjoyed together, which kind of goes back to why am I homeschooling? Yes, I'm meeting their needs, but I'm also meeting my needs and our needs as a family to be together and experience things together. And so that answers this question. What are 3 books that we've loved? First one is the Ramona series. This series is kind of the first chapter books, either print or audio, that we've experienced, that I experienced with each of my kiddos. I just chose it with Elizabeth because I thought she would enjoy the books, but then I decided to make it kind of an intentional thing for both of the boys as well. What do you have to say about that? Ramona books, they're hilarious. Ramona is relatable and brave and honest in who she is and embraces those things about her. And I love her. And the audiobooks are fantastic. So, Ramona's book series, number 1. Number 2, Penderwicks. As much as I love that, curious, quirky kid of Ramona, I love the Penderwicks kind of for the opposite reason. They are low-key, low-trauma books. They are well written, they are enjoyable, and they're just like a sigh, just a happy sigh of a book. I know that might sound weird to some people, but that's exactly it for me. I just kind of feel like a comfortable couch. Whereas Ramona seems like a happy sunny day outside. These are just a nice, comfy couch, just comfortable. So that's why I love those books. Next one is the Harry Potter series. I had no interest in Harry Potter when they were originally released. We had just gotten married when they really took off in popularity. And I had no interest in them. My husband did. He read all of them. He pre-ordered them. I remember getting them from Amazon, on the day they were released. But I just had no interest. None. But then back in 2016, we were going to Universal Studios over Thanksgiving break. And so I thought, well, we should at least listen to the first Harry Potter so the kids have some idea before we go to, Harry Potter World. And I fell in love. They fell in love, but so did I. And the books were they're just amazing books. Engaging and suspenseful and curious and funny, and they were just such good books. We finally finished book 7 in the spring. The boys had finished them all long before, but I hadn't. And I just loved the books. And it was a good reminder to me, and one I talk about with the kids often, that sometimes our tastes change, or we just are closed-minded before, and that if you have a little more of an open mind, then maybe you'll like something you didn't think you would. always a valuable lesson to pass on to the kids. I just loved them. I had no idea that I would, but I did. So, long-winded answers. We're on number 4. Best advice you've ever been given. It's normal for kids to need you, even teens. Don't push them to independence. Sit at their elbow and be there to guide them. My daughter definitely needed me far longer and more than my boys, especially Matthew. And people told me that, even in middle school, when I would sit at her elbow, literally, like she'd sit at her desk and I'd kind of have my chair off to the side, that she was never going to be able to do anything without me. Well, I promise you, she can. And was meeting her needs. Now, Matthew, he's needed me less, and that's okay too. But I didn't push him to independence. I feel firmly that meeting their needs, their individual needs, is what helps them to confidently gain their independence. I've always felt that way with parenting and with homeschooling. So, to have that reassurance told to me when my kids were young by women who had homeschooled through high school, and that was back in the day, that was valuable to me. And I am so glad that I heard that. Number 5, favorite thing about homeschooling. There are so many, but I think the thing that I love the most is learning things I didn't know alongside my kids, or filling in those gaps, or learning connections that I never made. I find this a lot with math. Like I can do old school math easily. I can follow the algorithms, but I didn't always understand the why, or what I found often is why it didn't make sense to other people. Things that were naturally made sense to me, and I remember other students struggling. Well, now I finally made sense of it all. That's a valuable thing to me. The history and the connections that I've made through that, I love that. I love learning alongside my kids. I love it. Least favorite thing about homeschooling. This was not even a hard question. It's always being on. Not having that chance to just chill out during the day. Always doing something. Whether it's helping one kiddo with math, or right now I'm working on Elizabeth's course descriptions for her transcripts. Ordering books from the library, taking kids places. That always being on is exhausting to me. Number 7, one thing that has not worked for you. This one I've got kind of 2 answers, but they all kind of coincided together, and that's having a lot of workbooks in our homeschool and living by the list. I'm not sure how separate these really are, because it came to a head when both things were going on, and we had no joy in our homeschool, really. I mean, there were moments of joy, but like joy as an overarching thing, not a bit. And that was definitely not working for us. It was just no fun for anybody. So when I backed off, making sure everything was done for the day, and took some approaches that weren't predominantly workbook-ish type of things got a lot better. And one thing that has worked for you, morning baskets done my way. I have a whole video about this, but last year I was determined that I wanted to make morning baskets work, and so I kept trying until we found ways that worked for us. And now they are one of my very favorite parts of our day. It was one of my favorite things last year. So far this year, it's been one of my favorite things. But I had to keep trying until I got there. Now that you know a little more about me, I'd love to get to know you. Tag me in your video, answer some or all the questions down in the comments, and click on the playlist on your screen to get to know more about our homeschool. Thanks for watching.